Hi, very quickly, I'm only like 2 minutes into editing this and it's a lot more noticeable than I thought it would be. My asthma, I hope, has really been playing up recently and I'm running out of breath just talking, so I apologise for that. I have no idea how to go about doing this. I'm perfectly happy to complain about people bashing characters who have no concept of free will for not being able to decide to stop being brainwashed. But I don't know how to go about saying anything critical about the series itself. At that point, I feel bad. And I don't like being critical about things I love. I get concerned about my favourite characters, that's what I've been doing all this time. And the more I care about something, the more passionate I get. But I don't like saying outright that I didn't like something. But it's Pride Month, so it's now or never. So I want to try and explain things a little bit first. Back in the day, I was doing my English A-level, and we had to write 1,000-word short stories, pass them along, and analyse each other's. I hated the way we had to word these analyses, because we couldn't say I believe, I think, the reader may interpret. We had to write the author intended, as if we know what the author intended to do. Just because we see parallels, meaning, hidden symbolism, doesn't mean that's what the author intended. So one class I wrote a story about basically nothing. It was a guy standing on a beach throwing a rock into the sea. And that was it. I wasted paragraphs describing the colour of the sky and the weight of the rock in the guy's hands, but there was no point to it, no plot, nothing happened. And yet this one person who analysed it was able to write an entire analysis about the religious context of my story. He was able to pair biblical quotes with lines I wrote and how I clearly referenced XYZ biblical things. I'm an atheist? No, I didn't. I'm not writing religious subjects in my work, not even subconsciously, but he was religious and therefore he was seeing those parallels in the work because that's where his mind was at, that's where his thoughts lie. And he has now written about author intent that the author did not intend. He's not wrong for seeing those parallels and interpreting it in that way. No one is wrong for the way they interpret a story, but he was wrong for saying that's what I intended. And as I'm editing, I'm just slipping in here to say that interpreting a story differently isn't the same as blatantly ignoring stuff. I always assumed that Horriby was being manipulated by the Ark, I always assumed he was hacked, but until we were given that clarification, no one was wrong for interpreting it differently. But we've been told that now, it is fact that Horriby was hacked by the Ark, and that's why it bothers me when people just choose to ignore it or conveniently forget. I'm still not saying I'm right, I'm not arrogant enough to say I'm right and everyone else is wrong, but I'm just explaining that's why that bothers me. I didn't say anything, it wasn't a big aha, this lesson is shit moment. It wasn't a big master plan to call anyone out for not knowing what they were talking about. I wrote analyses about stuff the writer absolutely did not intend at all. We all knew that, but my point is, people see things even if the writer didn't intentionally put them there. I'm seeing a lot of parallels in 01 towards certain real life aspects that I don't believe for 1 second the writers intentionally put there. I'm not saying that the writers outright meant what I'm about to say. If I can even say it, because dear God, I cannot breathe today. So hi, I'm gay and ace, love women, just don't want to have sex with any of them. Which I've never felt all that comfortable saying aloud until Nakayama came into our lives. My God, they are the hero we don't deserve. I owe so much of my confidence to them. So when I see an episode all about marriage inequality, I can't help but have an uncomfortable knee-jerk reaction. It bothers me that the conclusion to the fact that a human and a human gear can't get married isn't saying, well, maybe they should, but instead having the human realise they're actually in love with this other human instead. Why can't sentient human gear get married? It just felt like when a homophobe says to a lesbian, oh, you just haven't met the right man, or any other combination of that. She wasn't really in love with the human gear, she just had to meet the right human. If it wasn't for Edito's strong reaction about the idea of a human wanting to marry a human gear, the episode is, I don't know, match being her rebound guy. I can fully get behind the idea of a human falling in love with the idea of a human gear, but ultimately inevitably wanting to marry a human. I also absolutely would have loved an actual human gear tragic love story, you know, the types that go like, we can't work together, we're too different, we won't age together, we can't do such and such. I can understand if Ebby had a match and was absolutely definitely in love with this human guy, but then started chasing after Match, and I don't know. But what about this other guy? It's just the fact that that reaction was specifically about a human and a human getting married that irks me. Okay, just one more thing, I can breathe for just a few more minutes. My ideal ending would involve Humour Gear being allowed to hold office and get married and get paid for their work and treated like, you know, people, not tools. I don't I don't imagine that's where this series is going to go. It's less about oh my god! No, I can power through this. It's less about treating Humour Gear well, and more about making sure they're happy with the way they're being treated. It's not enough to just be nice to them, you actually have to make the effort to make their lives better. But it still seems like the focus is about what Humour Gear can do for humans, and not letting Humour Gear live their lives. Horribly was a Humour Gear created to raise human kids. He's a dad because of human kids, not because of Jinn. Match exists to help humans find love, but he's not allowed to find love himself. Wow, what a great professional ending to such a serious topic. I just know that I need to get all of my recording done in one sitting, and if I don't finish it, I'm never going to. So I bloody well had to power through. I think I managed, just about. I hope. I'm sorry.